Hi guys, this is Miss Mitchell and I want to give you a few pointers on how to effectively participate in a Socratic seminar. So the gist of the question is basically, how do we use the Socratic seminar to actively engage in a close analysis of a text? Think back to last year's Habitude lesson on the Indian talking stick. I think if you can embody this during the discussion, you will ace the activity. So basically, the Indian talking stick reminds us that before we lead, we must listen. Listening is the key to having a great discussion. Listen more than you talk. Leaders seek to understand the perspectives of others before they communicate their own points. And this idea of understanding divergent perspectives, that is an add-on skill from 10th grade. So this is something new for us, and it may take us a couple of opportunities of practicing to actually master handling, addressing divergent perspectives. In addition, we want to show empathy and ask good questions. So part of your homework is to answer the one assigned question, but also as you make your way through the text, to create 3 to 5 first impression questions that deals with Ellison's use of diction and language devices. So in the end, you will earn the right to be heard. So let's talk about skills, AKS. Basically, by the end of this activity, I'm hoping you can honestly say, I can prepare for a discussion by analyzing a text and creating questions that require deep thought and analysis. I can ask questions about the text that propel the discussion. I can use evidence to support and challenge ideas. I can consider different perspectives to include in a discussion. And last but not least, I can assess evidence by reasoning used. I can assess evidence or reasoning used by others. So we have a few ground rules. Basically, you want to make sure you listen carefully. Base any opinions on the text. Address one another respectfully. Address comments to the group. No side conversations. It's very distracting and disrespectful to the person who's speaking. Reflect back to the speaker what you understand and how you think the speaker interpreted the text. So we're actually having a conversation and not talking at one another. You also want to monitor your airtime. Please do not take over the discussion and it becomes a monologue. It has to have a back and forth. And so please make sure you relate statements to specific passages, as well as use the text to clarify and to elaborate upon ideas. So those are the things we should do, and here's some things we should not do. Don't raise your hand. There really isn't a need. If we are practicing empathetic listening, we will find the opportune time to chime in. So we never interrupt or cut people off. We don't switch topics before the previous question is resolved. And make sure you don't miss opportunities to participate, especially my shy students. Also, never belittle or criticize your peers' questions, answers, or ideas. This is an academic conversation, and so there is room for error. There will be patience and respect from the beginning of the seminar till the end. So the big idea is to present your thoughts and reasoning. Be courageous. Don't be afraid to speak up. We have to practice this skill. It is definitely a skill you will need in the workplace. It is definitely a skill you will need in college. So be flexible and willing to change your mind in the face of new and compelling evidence. It's okay. You will discover, hopefully, some new things about Ellison's text. All right, so here are some things to consider. Number one, always pose thought-provoking questions. The questions that you're creating, those first impression questions, should not be a simple yes or no. They have to be open-ended. Consider the 4 examples. Why do the first 2 sentences contain qualifiers? Why does Ellison suggest his audience might be fans of the animated cartoons? Why does Ellison say hung the bird on the Charlie in paragraph 2 instead of nicknamed him? Why does Ellison provide the scientific name in paragraph 4? And so notice these are open-ended. They will require or propel the conversation, but most of all, they focus on Ellison's use of diction and other language devices. Be sure to share your opinion of the text. We know with the rhetorical analysis, in the end, we have to consider whether or not the author effectively achieved his purpose. So, be sure to share your opinion about the text. Here are some frames to consider. I believe or think that, fill in the blank. In paragraph 4, I found X and it seems like Y and Z. In paragraph 4, I think the author uses, repetition to reveal the hypocrisy of society. And so, as you're making your first impression questions, maybe you can consider some of these frames to help you pose your questions as well as to guide the language of the Socratic Seminar. Alrighty. Explore divergent perspectives. You have to pay attention to your peers. You have to listen to them, think about what they're saying, and even if it's very different from your opinion, we are going to consider it. So sometimes you may need to clarify their ideas. So Mark, I heard you mention synecdoche. Please tell us more. Or my idea is similar or related to Michelle's idea. What do you guys think? I see paragraph 4 as a common link between paragraph 7 and 9. Or Don indicated that the syntax in the very short sentence represents a universal truth. Or so and so clarified X. And so we are constantly going back to the gray areas of the conversation, which we tend to avoid because we want the conversation to move quickly. But here is the time to pause and truly consider, I never really thought about that. And let's try to figure it out together. So because we're focusing on that gray area, sometimes we must seek clarification from our classmates. So when you are confused or you need more information, please ask for it. And to the right of this screen, you see 4 additional frames. Adam, can you please rephrase such and such? Or I did not understand, Brenda, please repeat your idea. Or Cami, can you say more about the use of juxtaposition in paragraph 4 because I don't understand it. Or in other words, are you saying, and then you repeat or rephrase what someone else has said so that you can have greater understanding. As the conversation goes on, you may feel like it's stuck. And so someone, not me, but someone in the circle needs to move the conversation forward. So after listening carefully and processing what others are saying, you may need to change the subject when it seems like the topic is exhausted. So I think we've exhausted the topic of the mockingbird. Can we move on to the use of lizards in the last paragraph? Or does anyone have final comments to add about the shift, or shall we move on to a different subject? And because it's a conversation, we have to encourage others to speak. It is not a monologue or a soliloquy. We have to pull people into the conversation. It is a real life skill. I know you've been there where you're trying to have a conversation with someone and they are not responding to you. So this is how we will address that issue. You can simply say, Donna pointed out that chapter 7 represents, like the underprivileged youth in the world. Do you see it differently? Or maybe you notice that one of your peers hasn't chimed in yet because they're really shy. So invite them in and ask them, what conclusion did you make? Or has anyone found a similar idea? Who has a different opinion? Or, Lisa, do you see gaps in my reasoning? Or maybe you can point out that such and such mentioned this idea and then invite a quiet student to say, do you think it contradicts what I'm thinking? And I'm not saying it's your job to help someone earn their grade, but when you're having a conversation, it is your job to engage your listeners. So here's a review. Share your opinion of the text. Stimulate thought with open-ended and thought-provoking questions. Propel the conversation by responding to questions with textual evidence. Always seek to understand other perspectives by probing reasoning and evidence. Explore divergent perspectives. Respond thoughtfully to diverse perspectives. Make new connections. Encourage others to speak and participate. And in the end, always try to resolve contradictions when possible. I look forward to our Socratic Seminar, and I will see you in class. Don't forget to upload your one assigned question and 3 to 5 first impression questions to the Dropbox. See you in class.